Greetings. This is John Pardonen, Old Black Part, here in Black Part's Lair. And this series will be Black Part Teaches, and will be a weekly series of lessons on the Great Highland Bagpipe. This will be held in conjunction with my continuing program, Black Part Pipes. And of course you can always catch Black Part Speaks at my old pal's website at Cullen Craft. So, on with it. Black Part Instructs. This first part of Black Part Instructs is a basic introduction to music that's necessary for students beginning on the Great Highland Bagpipe. Some students will already had some music theory, but this is for those who don't, and a good review for those who do. So, you must have a basic knowledge of what music is, how to read it, how to write it, and all the music is, of course, is a specific set of sounds or patterns produced by the voice or by a musical instrument. The specific pattern of music is the melody. Notes are used to write music on paper. Each note has a name after one of the first 7 letters of the alphabet. So as you can see, there's a low G, low A, B, C, D, E, F, a high G, and a high A. Now the notes, as you can see, can be through the lines. The 5 parallel lines here are called a staff. And the notes are arranged on the staff. They can be through the lines, in between the lines, or as in the case with the high G and the high A above the lines, and with the high A you have what's called a ledger line. Now, at the beginning of each staff, remember that's the 5 parallel lines, you have a clef. Now that's this symbol right here. In the case of bagpipe music, it's called a G clef or a treble clef. Now the clef sets the pitch of the music. Now in bagpiping you'll find 2 sharp notes, and that's the sharp C and the sharp F, and that's sometimes designated, but oftentimes in most bagpipe music, because it doesn't change, it's assumed that everybody knows what that is. Now as you can see, there are lines, vertical lines, through the cleft here. Now the vertical lines designate bars of music. In a part of a tune for bagpipe music, there's normally 8 bars, and normally you'll find for each line of music 4 bars. This would be true of most music for the bagpipe, or what we call the light music. Now you'll also notice that there are some double bars at the beginning and the end, and double bars designate the beginning of a part and the end of a part. And then you see there are also repeat marks. Now if the repeat marks are to the right of the music, which is usually at the beginning, that means this is where the repeat of the part begins. And if of course they're at the end, as in down here, this means that's where you repeat the previous 4 bars, or repeat the bars of music to the first set of double bars with dots. Now, music can also have more than one type of note. And notes can have various weights or amounts of time that they are held. A whole note normally is held for the entire bar of music. A half note, you would need 2 of these for a full bar of music. For a quarter note, 4 of the quarter notes per bar of music. An eighth note, 8 are required. A 16th note, 16 are required. And for a 32nd note, 32 are required. Notice a whole note is an oval that's not filled in. A half note has a tail on it, pointed downwards. The quarter note is filled in. The whole note is filled in with the tail down. The eighth note has a little tail on it, one single tail. The 16th note has 2 tails. And finally, the 32nd note has 3 tails on it. Now, in bagpipe music, the notes have those values, but they can also be accented. And what we mean by accents are pauses, ties, triplets, and dots. So, a pause will usually have what we call a bird's eye symbol over it. A half oval with a dot. The pause means you can hold that note for a reasonable, little bit longer period of time. Ties will tie 2 notes together for that single value of each note. So here we have 2 quarter notes tied together, so that would be actually a half note. Triplets are 3 notes, usually quarter notes, played in the space of time for 2 quarter notes. And then finally we have the dot. The dot adds 1/2 the value of the note. As in this case, you have a dotted quarter note, so you would hold that quarter note 1/8 space of time longer. In other words, 3/8 in length. Now, the last thing to cover is time signatures. Now, time signatures you'll find at the beginning, usually where the treble clef is found. And the typical time signatures in bagpipe music are 2/4, where you have 2 1/4 notes per bar of music. 3/4, where you have 3 quarter notes per bar of music. 4/4, 4 quarter notes per bar of music. 6/8, 6/8 notes per bar of music. And 9/8, 9/8 notes per bar of music. Now, we've gone over this in a fairly rapid fashion, and I urge you to look at a bagpipe tutor, or to get one if you haven't got one already, and look at the beginning introduction to music that you'll find in these tutors, and read that carefully, replay this tape carefully, and so forth, until you get a good basic grasp of the basic introduction of music that you'll encounter with the Great Highland Bagpipe. So that's it for this little introduction and the introduction to music for the Great Highland Bagpipe.